One hobby taking off in popularity involves searching the ground. Mushroom foraging is the practice of gathering mushrooms in the wild, typically for culinary use, and it's gaining traction in the Northland. This week on the Local Exchange, we're introduced to a Duluth woman teaching people how to have fun while searching for fungi. Along the trails at the Boulder Lake Environmental Learning Center in Duluth, you might see a group of people with their eyes peeled, baskets in hand, scanning the earth for wild mushrooms.
There's some mushrooms over here, people. When you learn about mushrooms, you kind of learn about how they are connected to so many other things in nature. So kind of learning about mushrooms forces you to care about more than just mushrooms. Looks like more Rusella, but a lot fresher. This one doesn't have much of a smell like that other one we found did.
This is Ariel Bonkoski, a mushroom identification expert and the leader of this foray.
We're getting a little action over here.
Her involvement with mushrooms began as a happy accident after growing up not even liking them.
But one day I just had a coworker that explained to me there's mushrooms out there, wild mushrooms that have all sorts of different flavors and textures, and I just hadn't had the right mushroom. So I'm gonna pick this guy.
Out of curiosity, Ariel joined mushroom identification groups on Facebook to see what grows in Minnesota and Wisconsin, beginning her quest for more knowledge.
One thing that's cool about the Crepidotus.
Now she works with community ed programs and schools to teach classes and lead guided hikes, putting their foraging skills to the test.
If you're really new and just starting out, going with someone who has a lot of experience is very, very valuable. This is technically an edible one.
Whether they already know a thing or two about fungi or are just dipping their toes into the world of wild mushrooms, attendees learn how to properly find, identify, and consume chanterelles, lobster mushrooms, and more.
We've got lobsters. Some people are just looking for new hobbies. Some people want to know what's growing in their gardens. Is it gonna hurt their dogs or their children? And, they want to be aware of what's growing in their yard. So this one still could be eaten.
From curiosity to knowledge, then capping it off with immersing yourself in the outdoors.
So this
in Duluth
is a pepper bully.
Kendall Jarbo, Northern News Now. Ariel typically offers her classes and guided hikes once a month. The next one is September 16th, and we have sign-up details on our website. If there's a small business that's left a big impact on your community, you can nominate them for this segment by sending an email to kjarbo@northernnewsnow.com, and it might be featured on the Local Exchange.